Hi there. Thank you so much for joining us here today at Unity Church of El Cajon. Today, I've got a great topic I think you'll enjoy. But before we get to that, please join us in prayer. I invite you to close your eyes and take a breath with us and turn within. God, we rejoice in knowing that you are ever with us. We rejoice in knowing that your voice is alive and with us in every moment. Help us to know you. Help us to hear you. Thank you, God. Amen. So today we are joined by Linda Baker and Kathy Cronin, and our topic is that's not it. There it is. A Voice in the Wilderness. And this is from a writing by Elizabeth Sand Turner. Now, you may or may not know the book Your Hope of Glory by Elizabeth Sand Turner. She actually tried to rewrite the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, on a more metaphysical, relatable storyline. So we studied her a lot in school. I'm going to read a little bit, and this is about Jesus's childhood. And here's what she has to say. The voice in the wilderness. And the child grew and waxed strong, filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was upon him. When Jesus had completed his 12th year, he was allowed to accompany Mary and Joseph from their home in Nazareth to the holy city for the observance of the great feast of the Passover. At this age, a Jewish boy became a son of the law, a status that implied spiritual responsibility. And we find Jesus attending his first Passover to discharge this responsibility. We can imagine how strange and vastly interesting to the Nazarene lad was his first journey to Jerusalem, a distance of approximately 80 miles. As was the custom in those days, Jesus and his parents joined a group of Galilean pilgrims, and together the band made its way slowly south through Samaria to Judea, a journey of 4 or 5 days. The city of Jerusalem was teeming with visitors from many parts of Palestine and from various countries in the Mediterranean area. For Jewish pilgrims and proselytes came yearly to the temple for celebration of the great feast, to which there were several. Notable among them were the Passover, the Feast of the Tabernacles, and the Feast of Dedication. In this particular instance, the crowds were drawn to the city on the occasion of the Feast of Passover. This feast commemorated the deliverance of the Jews from Egyptian bondage under the leadership of Moses. The observance of the feast of the Passover lasted a week. When the ceremonials were over, the Galilean caravan started homeward. It was understandable that in such a large group, a boy might easily be lost sight of. And Mary and Joseph did not notice Jesus' absence until they had gone a day's journey. We can imagine their dismay when inquiries among kinsmen and acquaintances failed to disclose his whereabouts. Hastily, they returned to Jerusalem to seek him. And it came to pass after 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the teachers, both hearing them and asking them questions. And all that heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. And when they saw him, they were astonished. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing. And he said unto them, How is it that ye sought me? Knew ye not that I must stay in my father's house? And they understood not the saying which he spoke to them. That's from Luke 46 through 50. Now, the reason that I'm sharing this is there's so many reasons, but one of the big ones is I've been talking with parents and grandparents and great grandparents, and it's so common that we lose touch with our kids, that they aren't who we think they should be, that we feel like they're too young or too old to be doing whatever it is that they're doing. And this particular passage, this reading reminded me, and I'm reminding you, that our children are never really ours. Our family members are, of course, an expression of the Christ Spirit. And we have the privilege and the honor of growing with them, of watching them become whatever it is they're going to become. But each and every person has their own destiny. And we need to allow that and acknowledge that and let that come to pass. Now, in this reading, Jesus was 12. And if we told the authorities, well, he was 12, I let him go because he had his own destiny, there would probably be legal consequences. But I wanted to share this as a reminder that the Christ in each of us expresses the way that we are supposed to. So that's my reading, that's my thoughts, and I am going to turn it over to my wonderful panel. What do you think about all this?
I think that's really interesting. And the question that comes to my mind, or the enlightenment I get here, is the fact that he started his teachings right there with that ministry. And he did that rather than go out and start performing miracles. Like, he didn't prove himself. He made a connection with the other ministers, and that I found very interesting. Uh, the being able to just understand everything about him and how he did what he did is a blessing. I think every time I pick up the Bible and I read it, it's always something that I'm learning. And I always love hearing the stories about Jesus, and I love the stories about Moses too, and traveling down the water in the boat to get out of Egypt. It's all a fascinating history that I hope we never ever are denied from hearing about and learning from. Um, Thank you. I am not familiar with the book or the lady that wrote it, but it sure sparks my interest. I just love metaphysical interpretations of the Bible, and I thank you for sharing it.
Well, thank you for bringing that topic, Linda, Reverend Linda, and for your sharing your thoughts, Linda. It's very interesting to get an interpretation of the Bible on a metaphysical point of view. And this really sort of opened my eyes to sort of learning about Jesus. I knew the story of Jesus in the temple and when he started teaching, and I just sort of thought, however, when you see it from this perspective of he's 12 years old and he's telling, mother saying, your father and I were looking for you and we were scared. And he's like, I'm just about doing my father's work. Well, if a 12-year-old told a parent that today, they probably get smacked or grounded. But it sort of is like seeing that aspect of being able that even for our young people is to see that wisdom. Sometimes, we want to control or think we know better, father knows best. And it's sort of like maybe we could be learning from their wisdom because they are in a space of their God-inspired self. And by being open to giving them that freedom to speak their truth and let them acknowledge that their thoughts are there, teaches us as parents, as adults, is that there is great wisdom in the young. And it sort of becomes a matter of sharing both sides of it, is the wisdom of what we've gone through in our life that we can share with them, but also being open to the fact that they too, they're really connected to their spirit self because they haven't had years of being put down and shut down and closed away from that. And it's like being more open to hearing that wisdom coming from them and recognizing there's great wisdom in the youth and the young, and then also to share with them. I often, in dealing with my younger family now, is often will say to age, and I go, well, think how you felt when you were their age. What was it that you wanted, your father or mother to say to you, or what was it that you wanted them to accept? So put yourself back in that place and time and ask yourself, what do I wish my parents had told or taught me at that point? That answer, that'll give you the guidance on how to direct your children to grow into the adults they're meant to be. And so sometimes for me, it's like recognizing that it is their path, that they need to learn from their paths that are in front of them, their growth. It's part of their growing and becoming adults. So thank you for sharing that point of view and seeing that from that metaphysical, because I was very disconnected from it. It was like, okay, well, Jesus at 12 thought, I'm here to teach. And the elders were willing to listen to his teaching. So maybe it is point, sit down with some young people and see what they can teach us. So thank you. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
There was a great writer one time that wrote about children, and he said, your children are not your children. They come through you, not from you. And I think you probably know that's Kahil Gibran from The Prophet. If you've never read it, read it, because it touches heart about that subject as well.
Thank you, Linda. Well, if no one has anything else, I will close this in prayer. So let's take a moment to just breathe this in and take in the thoughts and the wisdom that has been shared here by this panel. And just know that we are sharing with you the truths and the lessons, and that it is to you to grow from this. And we're grateful that we can come together, that we can share these thoughts and share this wisdom. We appreciate everybody that has joined us today can continue to receive these regular recordings. And we're always open to new people joining our panel. We want to hear other people's thoughts and wisdom, and I'm sure there's a wealth of ideas to be shared. So thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to sharing something in the future with you. So have a great and blessed day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us, and let's stay connected and grow in spirit. We are on Facebook. Search for Unity Church of El Cajon and follow us and like our posts. You can reach us on YouTube at Unity Church of El Cajon. Please subscribe to our channel, watch our videos, and leave comments which can help us improve. We are on the web at unityofelcajon.org. Email or call our church office to receive our weekly newsletters, which lists all of our activities and opportunities to learn and grow together.